right, so today we're going to deep dive into the power of enthusiasm.
Okay.
And not just, like that feeling you get when like your favorite song comes on.
Yeah.
We're talking about like harnessing that energy for like real success, that lasts.
Yeah.
And our guide for this is going to be the legendary Napoleon Hill.
Oh, cool.
A lot of people know him as, like that self-help guru,
Right.
advisor to presidents, all that.
Yeah, yeah.
But what I find so fascinating about him is that his insights on enthusiasm are still so relevant today.
Yeah, I agree.
Even like decades later.
Absolutely. So,
He was really a master at like distilling that timeless wisdom,
Yeah.
and his work on enthusiasm is a prime example of that.
Totally.
So we're going to explore what makes it so potent.
Right.
Its sometimes surprising effects.
Okay.
And even some practical tips from Hill himself on how to cultivate it.
Okay, so I'm already intrigued, right? Because it's not just about feeling peppy.
Right, yeah. Hill had some pretty like fascinating, almost scientific ideas about how enthusiasm works.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
He compares enthusiasm to the steam that powers an engine.
Okay.
So you could have all the knowledge in the world, the best tools, the most brilliant plans,
Right.
but without enthusiasm, it's all just potential energy.
Gotcha.
Enthusiasm is that crucial element that transforms knowledge into action
Right.
and propels you towards your goals.
Okay, so let's say I'm really fired up about learning a new language.
Okay.
Or like launching a new business.
Yeah.
That enthusiasm would be like the steam that gets me actually doing the work, not just dreaming about it.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
And what's even more fascinating is that Hill didn't just see enthusiasm as a solo endeavor.
Okay.
He believed it had a ripple effect, that it was inherently contagious.
Oh, I can definitely relate to that.
Yeah.
Like, have you ever been around someone who's like super passionate about a project
Oh, yeah.
and their excitement just kind of rubs off on you?
Totally.
But then there's like the flip side of that, that one person who's like constantly negative, and they seem to like drain the energy from an entire room.
Yeah, for sure.
Right.
So Hill illustrates this perfectly with an analogy from Andrew Carnegie,
Okay.
the steel magnet.
Yeah.
Carnegie said that just one intensely enthusiastic person in a factory of thousands
Wow.
could influence the entire workforce.
Okay.
And here's the kicker.
Aye.
It didn't matter whether that enthusiasm was positive or negative.
Real.
It spread either way.
Wow, that's a powerful image.
Yeah.
It really makes you realize the impact we have on others with the energy that we bring,
Right.
Okay, so we've got enthusiasm as the fuel for our own goals. And we know it's contagious.
Yeah.
But how does that actually work?
Right.
What's the mechanism behind it?
So this is where Hill gets really interesting.
Right.
He believed our brains function like broadcasting and receiving stations for thought vibrations.
Okay.
Imagine it like radio waves.
How?
We're constantly sending and receiving signals.
Yeah.
And here's the key.
Right.
Enthusiasm amplifies those signals.
So we're literally transmitting our enthusiasm to others.
Yes.
That's kind of mind-blowing.
Right.
It makes the whole idea of like good vibes and bad vibes suddenly seem a lot more real.
Right. Yeah. And
Yeah.
Hill was delving into this back in the early 20th century. Wow. Long before we had the scientific tools to study things like mirror neurons
Right.
and emotional contagion.
Uh-huh.
So he was onto something even then.
He was ahead of his time.
Yeah.
So then how can we make this work for us? Like, have you ever noticed how some people just like effortlessly make a great first impression?
Yeah.
Is there a secret to that? Could it be?
Oh,
Enthusiasm.
you're on the right track.
Okay.
Hill laid out a 4-step strategy specifically for making a good first impression using enthusiasm.
Okay.
And it's not just about slapping on a fake smile and being overly loud.
Right.
There's a real art to it.
Okay. I'm all ears. Break it down for me.
Okay, so step 1
Yep.
is to modulate your voice.
Okay.
When you're genuinely enthusiastic, it naturally comes through in your tone. You don't have to force it.
Right.
It's about letting that inner excitement color your voice.
It's about that authentic energy coming through.
Exactly.
Okay. What's step 2?
Step 2,
Yeah.
the firm handshake.
Okay.
Now, this doesn't mean a bone-crushing grip,
Right.
but a confident frame handshake conveys warmth and confidence.
Yeah.
And that sets the stage for a positive interaction.
All right. Firm but friendly. Got it.
Yeah.
What's next?
Step 3 is crucial.
Okay.
Engage with genuine interest in the other person.
Okay.
Ask questions,
Yeah.
actively listen, and focus the conversation on them.
Okay.
Hill was a big believer in selling others on themselves
Oh, interesting.
before trying to sell them on anything else.
That's brilliant. People love to talk about themselves.
Yeah.
If you can genuinely show interest in them first, they'll be much more open to connecting with you.
Exactly.
Okay, what's the final step in this enthusiasm-powered first impression strategy?
The final step is simply to transition the conversation smoothly to yourself.
Okay.
Once you've built rapport,
Right.
the other person will be more receptive to hearing what you have to say.
So you're essentially using enthusiasm to create a positive connection,
Yeah.
build trust, and then gently steer the conversation in the direction you want.
Right.
It's almost like a dance.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the beauty of this technique is that it's applicable in so many situations.
Yeah, like what?
Meeting new people,
Right.
job interviews, networking events,
Right.
even just striking up a conversation at a coffee shop.
Right.
It's about harnessing the power of enthusiasm to connect with others authentically.
Okay, we've covered a lot of ground already.
Mm-hmm.
Enthusiasm is fuel.
Mm-hmm.
Its contagious nature, how it works on a sort of vibrational level,
Right.
and even a strategy for making a killer first impression.
Right.
But there's more, right?
Oh, yeah.
Hill didn't stop there. He connected enthusiasm to some really surprising things.
Yeah, we've barely scratched the surface.
Oh, okay.
Hill explored the link between enthusiasm and health, even spirituality.
Okay, now I'm really curious. Hill and spirituality. This is where it gets really interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Will Hill was convinced that enthusiasm as an expression of a positive mental attitude
Right.
had a direct impact on our overall health and well-being.
Well, I can see that. When I'm feeling enthusiastic about something,
Yeah.
I have more energy.
Yeah.
I bounce back from setbacks more easily.
Uh-huh.
It's like my whole body is buzzing with positivity.
Right.
But was Hill talking about anything more concrete?
He was. He even claimed that a positive mental attitude could cure stomach ulcers,
Really?
which he attributed primarily to worry and stress.
Wow, that's a bold statement.
Yeah.
So Hill believed that like a lack of enthusiasm or a negative mental attitude
Yeah.
could actually manifest as physical illness.
That's what he observed.
And obviously we know stress has been good for us, but to go that far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's certainly a question worth pondering. You know, how do we see enthusiasm or its lack affecting our own health and energy levels?
Right.
Maybe Hill was onto something, even if his explanation was a bit simplistic by today's standards.
It makes you think about how we might be unknowingly sabotaging our well-being with negativity
Yeah.
or just a lack of genuine excitement about life.
Right. Yeah, it's fascinating, isn't it?
It is.
How our internal state can have such a profound impact on our physical health.
Right.
And it connects back to that idea of thought vibrations influencing those around us.
Yeah.
Maybe our enthusiasm or lack thereof is sending out ripples that we're not even aware of.
Okay, my mind is officially blown, but this raises a really interesting question.
Yeah.
If enthusiasm is so crucial for success, as
Yeah.
Hill claimed,
Right.
does that mean that people who haven't achieved their goals simply lack enthusiasm? That seems a bit harsh, doesn't it?
That's a great point. And it's important to approach this with nuance.
Okay.
Hill wasn't suggesting that everyone who isn't wildly successful is somehow deficient in enthusiasm.
Right.
More complex than that.
Okay, good. Because I was starting to feel a little bad about my own enthusiasm levels.
Ugh.
So what was Hill getting at then?
Remember, Hill emphasized the importance of having a definite purpose.
Right.
If someone feels lost or directionless,
Yeah.
it's natural for their enthusiasm to wane.
Okay.
It's like trying to drive a car with no destination in mind.
I see what you mean.
You'll just end up going in circles.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. You need that clear vision.
Right.
That burning desire to fuel the fire.
Exactly. And sometimes it's not even about a lack of enthusiasm, but rather misplaced enthusiasm. Someone might be pouring their energy into things that don't truly align with their purpose.
Okay.
Leaving them feeling drained and unfulfilled.
Oh, I've been there.
Yeah.
Chasing goals that weren't truly mine.
Mm.
Getting caught up in busy work that didn't really matter to me.
Sorry.
It's exhausting.
Yeah.
And it definitely doesn't lead to genuine enthusiasm.
It's about recognizing the difference between genuine passion and simply going through the motions.
Right.
If your heart isn't truly in it,
Okay.
it might be time to reevaluate your goals
Yeah.
and make some adjustments.
So it's not about forcing enthusiasm,
Exactly.
but about aligning your actions with your passions and purpose.
Yeah.
That feels much more empowering. But let's be realistic. Life isn't always sunshine and rainbows.
Right.
There are going to be times when our enthusiasm takes a hit.
Yeah.
You know, when we face setbacks or challenges that threaten to dampen our spirits.
Of course.
What did Hill have to say about navigating those inevitable slumps?
He acknowledged that maintaining enthusiasm takes effort,
Yeah.
especially when things get tough. But he also offered some practical advice for keeping that inner flame burning bright.
Okay, I'm ready for a pep talk, Hill style.
Well, one of his key suggestions was to focus on celebrating milestones no matter how small. It's easy to get bogged down in the day-to-day grind and lose sight of the bigger picture.
Right.
So acknowledging progress and giving yourself credit for those wins, even the tiny ones, can be a huge boost to your morale.
Okay.
And help rekindle that excitement.
I can see how that would help shift your perspective.
Right.
It's like taking a step back and remembering why you started on this journey in the first place.
Exactly. It's a reminder that you're moving forward, even if it's just one step at a time.
Right.
And Hill also stressed the importance of revisiting and revising your goals periodically.
Why is that important? Wouldn't that make you less committed to your goals?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
As we grow and evolve, our passions and priorities might shift.
Oh, yeah. I see what you mean.
What once lit us up might no longer hold the same appeal.
That's so true. My own goals have definitely changed over the years as I've learned and experienced new things.
Right.
Yeah.
Hill believed it was crucial to check in with ourselves regularly and ask, do these goals still align with my deepest desires?
Right.
Are they still lighting me up? If not, it might be time for some adjustments.
So it's about being honest with ourselves.
Yeah.
And allowing our goals to evolve along with us rather than clinging to something that no longer serves us.
Exactly.
That makes a lot of sense.
And finally, Hill was a huge proponent of continuous learning as a way to maintain enthusiasm.
Oh, I love that. That resonates with me.
Yeah.
Learning new things keeps our minds engaged and expands our horizons.
Right.
It's like fuel for the soul.
Precisely. It prevents stagnation and keeps those passions alive.
Right.
Whether it's reading books, taking courses, exploring new hobbies, the key is to stay curious and keep feeding that hunger for knowledge.
This is all starting to come together.
Yeah.
It's not about forcing ourselves to be enthusiastic about everything.
Right.
It's about finding that sweet spot where our actions are aligned with our passions and purpose.
Yeah.
Celebrating the wins along the way. Being open to adjusting our goals as we evolve.
Right.
And nurturing a lifelong love of learning.
Beautifully said. You've captured the essence of Hill's message.
You know what's really striking me is how relevant all of this is, even in today's world.
Yeah.
We're constantly bombarded with distractions, negativity, and pressure that can easily drain our enthusiasm.
You can.
But Hill's ideas remind us that we have the power to cultivate and nurture that inner spark even when things get tough.
Absolutely. It's a timeless message that transcends generations.
Yeah, and I have a feeling Hill would have a lot to say about the impact of technology and social media.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Both as potential enthusiasm killers with all the distractions and negativity they can bring.
Right.
But also as tools for connection and inspiration.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I think he'd have a field day with that.
I think so, too.
Imagine Hill navigating the world of online communities, virtual collaborations, and the constant flow of information at our fingertips.
Yeah, it's both exciting and overwhelming, isn't it?
It is.
But thinking about it through Hill's lens, maybe it's not about rejecting technology altogether, but about using it intentionally to fuel our enthusiasm and connect with others who share our passions.
That's a brilliant insight.
Yeah.
And it speaks to the adaptability of Hill's principles, that they can be applied to any era, any situation.
Totally.
It's about using the tools available to us to amplify our enthusiasm and make a positive impact on the world.
This has been an incredible journey so far. I feel like I'm starting to grasp the true power of enthusiasm.
I'm so glad to hear that.
Not just as a fleeting feeling, but as a driving force for personal growth, connection, and success.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I'm eager to continue exploring Hill's insights with you. But before we dive back in, maybe it's time for a quick recap to make sure all these great ideas are sinking in.
Sounds good. Let's review the key takeaways from our deep dive into enthusiasm, according to Napoleon Hill. Okay, so we started by exploring that idea of enthusiasm as like the fuel that turns knowledge into action.
Right.
Propelling us toward our goals, right?
Yeah, and we discussed the contagious nature of enthusiasm.
Yeah.
How one person's excitement can spread to others.
Right.
Creating a ripple effect that can influence entire groups.
That's right. Hill even went so far as to suggest that our brains act like broadcasting stations,
right,
sending out thought vibrations that can impact others.
Yeah. It's a concept that modern science is starting to validate with research on things like mirror neurons and emotional contagion.
Yeah. And then we delved into Hill's four-step strategy for making a powerful first impression using enthusiasm.
Right. Modulating your voice, offering a firm handshake, engaging with genuine interest in the other person, and smoothly transitioning the conversation to yourself.
Yeah.
Each step building on the last to create a positive and memorable connection.
Exactly. We also touched on the surprising connection Hill drew between enthusiasm and health.
Right.
Claiming that a positive mental attitude could even cure stomach ulcers.
Yeah.
While that specific claim might seem a bit outdated, it speaks to his recognition of the profound link between our mental states and physical well-being.
Absolutely.
And speaking of the power of the mind, we explored how Hill believed enthusiasm could even amplify the effectiveness of prayer, suggesting that the intention and energy we bring to our actions can truly make a difference.
Totally.
We then moved on to more practical tips for cultivating enthusiasm in our daily lives.
Right. Hill suggested things like reading aloud with feeling, practicing enthusiasm in conversations, identifying subjects that genuinely excite you, and even tapping into the passion you felt during courtship.
Right.
Always to rekindle that inner spark.
Exactly. And for those inevitable times when our enthusiasm dips, Hill encouraged us to celebrate milestones, revise goals as needed, and embrace continuous learning as ways to keep the flame burning.
That's a great point.
It's about recognizing that maintaining enthusiasm is an ongoing process.
Yeah.
A commitment to aligning our actions with our passions, nurturing our curiosity, and choosing a positive mindset, even when things get tough.
You said it perfectly.
Yeah.
I think we've covered a lot of ground, and it's clear that Hill's ideas on enthusiasm, while written decades ago, still hold immense value today. I'm curious to know what resonates most strongly with you.
For me, the biggest takeaway is seeing enthusiasm as a choice, not just a fleeting feeling, but something we can consciously cultivate and direct toward our goals.
Yeah.
And that idea of our brains as broadcasting stations, sending out thought vibrations that can impact others, is incredibly powerful.
That's true.
It makes you really think about the energy you're putting out into the world.
Those are fantastic insights, and I think Hill would be thrilled to hear that his work is still inspiring people today. He truly believed that enthusiasm was the key to unlocking our full potential.
Right.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, I'd like to leave our listeners with a thought-provoking question.
Oh, I love a good question. What is it?
Knowing how contagious enthusiasm is and how it can shape not only our own lives but the lives of those around us, I'd ask, what kind of enthusiasm are you putting out into the world?
That's a powerful question. It's a call to action.
Yeah.
A reminder that we all have the power to choose enthusiasm, to be a source of positivity and inspiration for ourselves and others.
And perhaps this deep dive has sparked a bit of that fire within you, dear listener. He'll believe that anyone could cultivate enthusiasm, and maybe this conversation was the nudge you needed to ignite your own.
Well said. Because, as Hill so eloquently put it, enthusiasm is the steam that powers the engine of success. So go out there and make some noise. Until next time, keep those thought vibrations high and let your enthusiasm shine brightly.